You all hear me? Yes? It's an honor for me to have Dr. Carol Cunahan here. I'll just tell a really quick story how I met this wonderful, amazing scholar woman. I was giving a presentation a few years back when I started my work in Albuquerque, I believe. And I was talking about women making tortillas and tamales and this and that, and I was going saying, I don't know what I was saying. And this lady dressed in white, I still remember, in a white dress, comes up to me afterwards and said, your work sounds very close to some of the work I do. And do you mind taking a look at a paper that I wrote and give me your feedback? And of course, I knew she was a full professor, and I was all humble, like, oh my God, this full professor who's done just about everything is asking me? So her name sounded very familiar to me, right? Like, she gave me her card, like, this name looks familiar, but I couldn't figure out why. But I said, sure, I'll read your paper, be happy to read it and give you my humble feedback. I get home to my study, I turn around and look at my bookcase, and there are like 5 books there, all by Carol Cunahan. One girl gave Carol Cunahan. She's done. I like to think of Carol Cunahan in terms of food, anthropology, issues of gender, as the one who really has breaking the path to putting those 3 things together. She likes to think of me as a closeted anthropologist, although I'm in the English department. So we have a friendship, professional relationship, friendship that has been going on for years now. And it is really, truly an honor to have her here. I'm sure you're going to love her presentation. And if you are interested in issues, like I said, of the interconnection between food and issues of gender, you are really meeting the person who has opened that field for all of us to continue our path. I've always said that anybody who's working either as a student or as a professional, in those 2 intersections and does not know the work of Carol Cunahan, there's something seriously wrong with their work. Because it's hard to explore these kinds of fields and not actually see her name and her work. So it's quite a delight. You're quite honored to have her here. And just another quick announcement. She will be giving a more formal lecture tonight at 5:30 at the Bloomberg Auditorium in the library. And the title of that talk is Taking Food Public, Mexicanas, Agency, and Community. It promises to be a wonderful, everything that Carol does is wonderful. So please, I invite you to come over also tonight to hear a slightly different presentation of what she does in terms of her work. Carol, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll just jump in and then we'll go for the food. How's that? Thank you so much to Meredith, to Gina, and to all of you for being here and for inviting me to UTEP. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I hope I can halfway live up to the very kind introduction from Meredith. I also do not own a white dress, so.
Wait a minute. I know what it was. The hair.
White hair, okay.
And also black.
Yeah.
Dr. Abarca teaches in the English department and teaches about food and culture. So if you still have classes to take, and many of you are just entering your fields, please consider taking a class with Dr. Meredith Abarca, A-B-A-R-C-A. Okay? Please keep her in mind. And we are writing partners, so she's a beloved colleague and friend of mine. So you will see a lot of similarities in our work and our conversations because we are constantly engaging one another as scholars.
So anyway, I was asked to come and talk to you a little bit about the field of food anthropology. And just wanted to start with the classic reminder of what anthropology is and how food fits into that. Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. So one of the characteristics of anthropology is its holism. And by the way, if anyone has any questions along the way, do not hesitate to raise your hands. Holism meaning what?
You all know this?
Who would like to stick his or her neck out and tell me what holism is? Yeah. What? Complete. Okay, so anthropology studies the whole of a culture. We often think about holism in terms of the 4 fields of anthropology. And I know here this is a cultural anthro class, but we also have biological anthro, archaeology, and linguistic anthropology as part of the holism. We also, when we think about holism, we think about how anthropology studies ideology or belief systems. Anthropology studies politics and power structures, studies social organization within the family, within the community, and economics. So food is beautifully placed to encompass and involve this holism of anthropology. Obviously, food is a biological necessity. Without food, we're done for. So the biocultural aspects of anthropology fit very nicely into a food framework. Economics. What is the primary focus of anybody's economic system? First thing, getting enough food to eat. Politics. How is food used in global politics, local politics, to create power relationships, and of course belief systems. All kinds of ideologies are embedded in the way we think about food. From something as silly as, don't eat with your mouth full, to be a properly socialized human being, you learn manners. Now, of course, manners, like everything else, vary cross-culturally. So I had a colleague of mine talking about sending out students to violate social norms. And one of the students was an Ethiopian student, and in her culture, people eat with their hands. So she went to Olive Garden, Italian chain restaurant, and ate her meal with her hands to practice this violation of social norms, and then report on what happened when she broke the social norms. And of course, people were horrified in the Olive Garden at this person who was eating her spaghetti with her hands. So belief systems, social organization, politics, and culture. Now, a second aspect of anthropology that food also fits into is the comparative perspective. What makes anthropologists unique among the social sciences is our constant sort of confronting one culture with another culture with our culture, whatever our culture may be. And of course, food is universal. Every culture has to eat, has to provide food for its citizens, and yet people do this in very interesting and diverse ways. How many of you eat dog? Okay. How many of you eat hot dogs? Okay. So there you go. Dog is repugnant in our culture. Dog is eaten in China, I believe. Or rats are eaten in China. We go, ew, that's so gross. But if you knew what was in a hot dog, you'd probably rather eat dog than hot dogs. Okay? So, comparative perspective. Last thing that anthropology is, or I shouldn't say the last thing, but the last thing I'm going to mention today that characterizes anthropology is fieldwork methodology. We like to get out there and collect our own data. And of course, for cultural anthropologists like Gina and myself, doing that cultural anthropological fieldwork is critical to the discipline. And I believe, as many of my colleagues do, that fieldwork is the lifeblood of anthropology, of cultural anthropology, but of all of it. Archaeologists do fieldwork, linguistic anthropologists do fieldwork, biological anthropologists do fieldwork. So we do fieldwork, and again, food is a great thing to do fieldwork on, in part because it's so taken for granted. If you come into a culture and say, tell me about your sex life, like, but if you say, tell me about your food, in most cultures they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Now, it depends on the culture, because we learned about the Trobriand Islanders that they were quite relaxed about premarital and extramarital sex, but if a boy and girl were eating together, that was really going far. So again, cross-cultural perspective. So food is a wonderful lens through which to do anthropological work. Want to just alert you, to any of you who want to sort of explore this further, to SAFN, which is the Society